And we're live. And it's Wine Wednesday.
Happy Wine Wednesday. Today we're hosting live Richard Da Silva, Rob Hammersley, two of Carl's Wine Club legend. Stay tuned. Woohoo! Happy Wine Wednesday. Cheers, Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher. It's 5 o'clock across the country. It's Wine Wednesday. It's time for a glass of Canadian wines. If it's 8 o'clock in the Eastern time zone or 5 o'clock here in Pacific, I mean, it's time to crank it up and have one or a lot of glasses of Canadian wines. Let's celebrate. It's our favorite day of the week, and we have a action-packed show with two winemakers joining us, so it's going to be a heck of a show. How are you doing, Mira?
Well, pretty great, considering all this goodness in front of us. And I pulled one to blind taste Carl on. And it's quite a giveaway because it's an orange wine. So we'll have to do that a little later because guess what? The two winemakers joining us today are already in the green room. They both have to go, like about 20 minutes from now?
Yeah, I don't know. You know what, Mira? You want to see it as, they have commitment later. No, I see it as they're so excited to be with us live that they came on and they want to get going right now. That's how I see it.
I agree, but so we'll find out. But I think Richard's in Vancouver at the Vancouver International Wine Festival, right?
Absolutely, he sure is. He's right there in his hotel room, and Rob Hammersley live from Caledon. So let's get going.
Let's bring them in. Richard Da Silva from Da Silva Vineyards, Naramata Bench, BC, and Rob Hammersley from Black Market Wine Company in Caledon, BC. So nice to see you guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheerios, everyone.
There you go. There you go. Welcome.
You got there, Richard.
You like that, eh? Sparkling water in my hotel room. I didn't have a chance to unpack anything over here, so I just really, I think about 15, 20 minutes ago, just dropped my bags in the room and set up for this today. So unfortunately the wine is at the event at the Vancouver Convention Center. So
you know what? I'm happy that the check-in went well, because if there's a little hiccup in the check-in, you wouldn't be here. So we're grateful.
we'd be doing it in the lobby.
In the lobby, right? Rob, you're at the winery right now. I can see some of the Black Market bottles behind you. So how you doing, my man?
Good. I'm tired. It's been a busy week of pruning. The weather's finally been pretty nice here, so I've been trying to pound through some of that this week.
Yeah, pruning on your side, you guys shipping on our side. So finally, we could have our bottleneck for wine from Ontario who can come over here now. The cold wall of Winnipeg and Regina has dropped, so we can bring some Ontario wine across Western Canada. Yeah, we love that warmer weather, that's for sure. How's your vineyard looking, Richard?
I'm not as ambitious as Rob. Just starting. We just picked up another vineyard right beside us. It's a 6-acre block with Viognier. And unfortunately, the other half is Cab Sauv, which we're going to be probably grafting over. But the Viognier does really well there. So yeah, I'm kind of a bit of a princess now. It's like super muddy out there and lots of water, and I got my gum boots on, and I'm just like, I'm going to wait till it dries out for another day or two. But it's looking good. I think Rob can talk about too. There's no, everything is healthy looking, and so we're stoked to get going.
Yeah. So Rob, tell us, you planted early last year At some point last year, you planted some nice little Chardonnay. And how's these baby going?
Good. I haven't got to that block yet. That's going to be my last focus for all the stuff we got to prune. That's a fairly straightforward one. We're going to go back down to 2 buds and give the roots another year to get themselves established. So there's no training involved with that one. We're just going to go vine by vine and cut them down to 2 buds. But what's nice is seeing so much green wood. Like last year when we were pruning, there was a lot of dead canes and cordons, and things are looking really good this year.
It's exciting. So because I'm having here in one of my last, I have the Pinot Blanc 2023 from your estate vineyard at Convention Ridge. How's the block of Pinot Blanc doing?
Good. So I'm already done that block. That one's completely pruned. We do have a little bit more vine death in that block than we have in some of our others. But we've been struggling with a little bit of trunk disease in that block since we took over the property. So we've got probably about 200 vines to replant this year. Those are already on order, and we'll do that in May. But all the other ones are looking pretty healthy, and that's going to be nice for a change.
That's good. So, like my usual, Carl, I get right away into the wine conversation and all that. Mira, how about you establish the reason why we have Richard and Rob here at the same time, what we've done with our feature last week? How about you set the table after I already served the appetizer?
Well, exactly, because, I was thinking Pinot Blanc, that is the block that you let us help you harvest a few years ago, Rob. And it's kind of fun because there's also Richard Chenin Blanc, which also we had some very small part in tasting those grapes before they were harvested a little while back. So yeah, 2 special blocks.
Well, Mira, that's specific, just to stop you, that specific vintage, that's the one that we tasted the grapes with the members sitting at the winery with Richard. This is because that lead me to why we're here. It's because we're going to bring the vote to the members for our new winery of the year celebration. And this is our alumni, right, Nina?
Well, exactly. So 4 years ago now, almost 5. I mean, we're in our 5th year as Carl's Wine Club. We said we should let members vote on their favorite winery that we discovered as a club every year. And so the Members' Choice Winery of the Year, we floated it as an idea on one of these Wine Wednesdays. And someone said, yeah, great idea, but we should do one in BC, one in Ontario, because, it's only fair. Those are the big wine producing sides. And that way, if we do it that way, then we can have a party at each winery that we choose. And it's easier for people to get to. Like if you live near Ontario, you go to the Ontario Party of the Year. But of course, what ended up happening was not only did members start going across the country to the other sides for the members get-togethers, but so did the winemakers. So the very first Winer of the Year party that we had, and the very first top BC Winer of the Year, was Rob Hammersley at Black Market. And we ended up throwing a party there of epic proportions. I mean, there was a hog roast. There was a
torrential downpour.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind about that day. The hog roast come far above, after that torrential downpour was the highlight of my day.
Yeah, I mean, this was right after the downpour. So you can see the sun started coming out through the clouds. But what was so cool was that when we crowned our Ontario Winery of the Year that year, it was Bella Terra. And Bella Terra said, well, with COVID, we've decided we're going to focus on investing in Canada all the more. And so instead of going to a bunch of international wine festivals, we're going to use that budget and come visit the BC Winery of the Year. And that was Rob's party that we had. So really cool, because the 2 wineries of the year met at Black Market in Caledon. This is them right here holding each other's wines. Fred.
Yeah. That was the first time Marcel came to BC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if we should have kept that, we should have kept the freaking bear in between. But anyway, different story here.
No, and so then like a month later, Rob and Michelle from Black Market come with us out to Bella Terra. We had a party out there, and it was also amazing. And then it just went on after that. So Richard Da Silva was Members' Choice voted #1 BC Winery of the Year by members in what? The second
one. Second one. Yeah, that was Richard and Sue-Ann. And Richard came down to Sue-Ann's party. Unfortunately, Sue-Ann couldn't make it here, but that's the party we had at the Hidden Hollow Vineyard, where we tasted Chenin Blanc, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon Blanc. And that was mid-September, where the grapes were juicy and almost ready to pick, where we tasted the 2023 in the bowl here. It's the 2023 Chardonnay grape, and right beside there was a 2022 bottling. So now the grape that you see in the bowl, it's in our glass today. So it's pretty cool.
That's crazy how time flies, hey? Yeah.
So that's setting the table, Mira. Thank you for doing that, because I jumped right into the wine. But now I want to ask Richard, so you're in your hotel room. So where are you right now? In which part of the world are you in your hotel room?
We're downtown Vancouver, right near the Vancouver Convention Center. And we're getting ready for a long slog. We've got 3 days of slogging through, but we really enjoy it. Those of your club members that have never been, Rob, you've been to the Vancouver Wine Festival. I don't know if you've been to it or not.
No.
Oh, you have to go. It is one of the top wine events in North America. It is a fantastic. If you're a wine enthusiast, it's definitely a must-go bucket list place to go. I've been going to it for almost decades now. I've been years even before I even had the winery. And so for me, it's such a great place to try a lot of Canadian wines, but a lot of international wines. And also sort of like what you guys do, they'll do seminars with the winemakers from all these different regions. I got to meet legends like Paul Draper from Ridge.
Oh, wow.
What's his name? From I got to sit with Margaret Mondavi together for lunch, actually, and got to chit chat about just this Heights cellars before he passed away. I got to chit chat with him, and so many of these legends in our industry, and also guys from like Montes and Purple Angel from Chile. Guys from all over Italy. So anyway, if your club members are really interested, it's in wine, must go to it. It's epic, but from our perspective, it's a slog. You got industry tastings during the day, you have consumer tastings into the evening, and so by Saturday you pretty much want to run home and put your feet up. But it's fantastic to get to meet customers. So by the way, if any wine club members, Carl's Wine Club members are in Vancouver, want to come by to the event, come by and say hi. We were one of the smallest guys there.
Nice.
We have our little table set up down there, and in the Canadian section, which we're proud. Funny enough, it's to add a little bit of drama here. This year's focus was
United States.
Was the U.S. and
they never saw that one coming with this whole drama that's unfolding, right?
It's a bit of a shit show, I think. I think the problem is that Harry had already, and the board for the Vancouver Wine Festival had picked California as the main focus 2 years ago, and so he's we happen to do it. I don't know if those of your club members got to listen. I had a CBC with Gloria Marchenko yesterday afternoon with Harry Herschel live on the radio.
Cool.
And Harry was getting a little bit miffed at them, trying to corner him on the U.S. tariffs and the focus wines this year. So I felt bad for him. I reached out for him, but I think he was just pissed off about the whole thing. Poor guy. It's it's going to be unfortunate, but yeah. Anyway, that's the plans what I'm doing down here, and not thinking about the vineyard today. So there you go.
Thanks, Richard. I knew that you were down there, so that's why, because it's one, Abe, like you mentioned, one of the biggest festival in North America, very well known. So I hope you'll enjoy. You'll have lots of success, and lots of our members already here. Deborah saying that she is going to be there. So make sure, Deborah, you go see hi to Richard.
Yes.
Rob, on your side, so you, Rob, has been busy pruning in the last week or so. So I want to get back, because so now we're featuring you guys together. We have different wines, and some wines are connecting together in a sense. But Rob, I want to start with you, because that's why I called you last night, and then you missed my call. I was just in a aha moment tasting that Zotomir Merlot from Caledon. It was the third day that the bottle was open, and I just couldn't believe how well this wine is just evolving right now. First time tasting that single vineyard. I mean, I'm a big fan of your home vineyard at the Conviction Ridge, and now you're working with another plot of land in Caledon. So now I'm just trying to draw a map and like of the valley, knowing how great the Merlot on the Naramata bench grow. Now you have two plots. I'm just such in the Merlot mood right now of what's where I'm tasting this week. So Rob, tell me more about Caledon Merlot and that new plot of land that you're working with, because it's a brand new release and it's really freaking fantastic. 93 points, by the way, Carl's Wine Club. I'm in love with that wine.
Awesome. Thank you. We've actually been working with that vineyard for quite a few years now. 2022 was the first year that we did a red out of the grapes. The year before that, a little bit of that went into our Nothing to Declare. And
okay, that was in the Pet Nat Spark. Okay.
Yeah, we kind of stumbled into this vineyard. It's about, maybe as the crow flies, about 500 meters to the north of us. Just at the northern tip. If anyone's familiar with Caledon, one of the best known landmarks aside from Linden Gardens is the Banbury Green Campground. It's a legendary place that's been around for decades. And this vineyard is perched right up on the top of the cliff. Basically, it's someone's backyard. It's a small, probably about 3/4 acre plot that was being managed by another winery. And things didn't go very well one particular year. They managed about 15 acres in that immediate vicinity, and this little backyard plot was part of that. And those growers just completely lost control of those vineyards one particular year, and the homeowner has been a sort of a fan of our wines for a while, and she showed up on our doorstep bawling. My vineyard's ruined. They haven't done anything. I have no more grapes. So we went in and kind of helped her, took over essentially the farming of it. And then they moved about a year after that. And the new owners, Zotomir is a Dutch word, and I forget what the translation is. I'll get it to you guys and share this on maybe one of the show notes. But they know nothing about farming. And so we've been working with them to kind of get them up to speed on how to look after this pretty special plot of land. It is truly a stunning place. I'll post a picture of that vineyard. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's very different than the Merlot we have here. The vines are, I'd say, probably about 15 or 16 years old.
Okay.
I have no idea of when it was planted, what rootstock it was on, what clone it is. I have absolutely no knowledge of this vineyard. But I can tell just by looking at the berries, they're much larger. The clusters are bigger, and the berries themselves are quite a bit bigger than our Merlot. And that shows quite visibly in the wine, just in terms of the style. Like if you think of our estate Merlot, it's all about the structure, the complexity, the depth. The Zotomir, I find, has just got much more of a freshness to it, a little brighter fruit profile, definitely a little lighter on the tannin structure.
Yeah, definitely. That's for sure. That is like the ratio skin juice is definitely different on that one for sure.
So once I saw this wine sort of taking shape in the barrel, I went and talked to Mike and Francis. They're the owners of the property. I said, "How would you guys like to see your vineyard name on the label of the bottle?" And they were just blown away. And I'd taken a bottle of it out of the barrel for dinner with us one night when we had dinner with them, and they're probably still smiling from that night. So I'm really excited about this particular plot. It's not very big. I think the most we'll ever get out of it is probably about 80 to 100 cases. We unfortunately had no crop there last year, much like Merlot in our home vineyard, but we'll be back at it working with them this year. And we have one barrel from 2023 that we'll bottle at some point later this year. There won't be a 24, but we'll get right back at it for the 25 vintage.
So now you have two single vineyards, Caledon, Merlot, in the future, maybe going on side by side. This is starting to be extremely fucking exciting, I'm telling you. And I might have to challenge you to expand that Merlot single vineyard a little bit, becoming our Thomas Batchelder of the Okanagan, working with Merlot single plot. I mean, this is really, really cool. I did reach out because I had a bottle of Conviction Ridge, I think it was in 2019 in my cellar. So I opened it and I was side by side while the Conviction Ridge has a little bit more of pine, a juniper, like tannic structure, like no one like that. The Zotomir was more on red and blue fruits, but also a little bit of earthiness of truffle. I was like, oh man, so different in flavor profile. I really, really loved it. So it's really exciting to see that Merlot things taking shape on your portfolio. Really appreciate that.
I'm going to ask Rob real quickly. Do you have wood this year on the cordon, or are you training from the ground up on that vineyard this year?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the first part of your question.
So on that vineyard right now, do you guys have your cordon? Do you guys have is your cordon going to produce this year, or are you retraining from the trunk up on that one?
It's a combination. So we have quite a bit of variability between individual vines. So we are doing some trunk retraining, but the trouble with that's going to be Bacchus, not Merlot, because it was field grafted onto Bacchus rootstock. So we're trying to salvage what wood we can find on above the graft union in every case possible. So where we have previous growth, we're laying down new canes, or if we have the ability to. If we don't, we're going to spur what is there and what's growing, and then we're going to capture some of those cuttings, do some propagation. And if there's particular vines that are going to allow us to do some layering, we're going to do that because we want to make sure we keep this block alive. The other vineyard, again, I don't know. It is on rootstock. I don't know what rootstock it is. So we're training from shoots that were low down on the trunk that we kept last year. And we typically spur prune that vineyard versus ours where we typically do cane pruning. So where possible, we're going to try and renew some cordons, but that's going to be a 2 or 3 year renewal process on that site.
So Richard, I want to stay a little bit on that Merlot train, okay? Because on your 2016 Merlot that you gave us, there's a nice little find from your library. It's a blend of two single vineyard, mostly from Penticton, from the Lazy Dog vineyard, and you had a little bit of fruit from down south as well. So let's talk about. Were you aware, or were you like? Did you know that the Caledon, little hamlet of Caledon, was producing that kind of good Merlot that they're doing right now? Is it something you were aware of, or now you're just starting to realize that, holy smokes, it's worth taking a look at it?
And actually, funny enough, Rob and I have talked about this. One of the very first management contracts outside of our family that my wife and I had under Da Silva Vineyards, it used to be originally just a vineyard management company, was actually a vineyard right next. It was actually a place that Rob and Michelle were going to possibly buy before they bought the place they're in right now at the right vineyard. He knows it very well. And so I worked with it. It was done in the Geneva Double Curtain as well, in Merlot and Pinot Gris. And so I actually made some of my first Merlot was from there and from the Checkmate vineyard. And I was really well aware that both Pinot Gris and Merlot was epic on the Caledon bench. In fact, I've always, it's very similar to Naramata in that lake effect is quite moderating. Most people don't know that Naramata, and I believe that probably be true for Caledon, is a couple of degrees is got better growing degree days than anywhere else in the Okanagan, which I didn't know about until I saw the reports. So yeah, Merlot does, and it's funny because 16, that bottle you guys have is special because that was a transition for me. For years, I wanted to believe, all of us that grew up in the Okanagan believe that Bordeaux Reds from Oliver Osoyoos. Anything north of Oliver Osoyoos, forget about it. It's going to make trash. That was the kind of unfortunate, kind of very, I'll say about myself, ignorant kind of thought about that. What's funny about that is that it continually in the barrel, starting in probably 13, 14, and then 15, consistently the Naramata, and actually I had the right vineyard as well in a couple of my wines at one point. I don't remember what vintage she moved to selling it, I believe, or it kind of took over for another person. But and so that 16 was kind of the transition of going, you know what, the fruit, the problem with Oliver and Osoyoos, not all places. So before some people pipe up in the crowd about this, but typically Merlot seems to like more that Goldilocks area. And I think both, I would say probably OK Falls probably has a couple of those areas in it. Caledon and Naramata, which doesn't have the extremes. Merlot doesn't like the high extremes on either side. And consistently, year after year, the barrels, blind tasting the barrels, the fruit from our region, where Rob and I just perform better. And so by the 16 that you see there, that you got that gem from us there, we were now already phasing out Merlot from Oliver and Osoyoos because it was just too hot in the places that I had that fruit in. And the wine just tended to lose structure and focus. And to me, I like the precision that Naramata, and also because I worked in Caledon, provides in Merlot, gives it a bit of crunch to it versus down south. It just gave kind of a very kind of a boozy, juicy kind of wine, but didn't lack precision or any kind of depth.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think when you think about Naramata versus Caledon, our being a little bit further north in the typical Merlot growing areas here, it gives that sort of slightly higher acid profile. You tell me if you agree or not, Richard, but I think on your side of the valley, you're going to see a little bit more opulence in terms of the structure with that nice acidity underpinning it. Whereas on our side, we got maybe a little bit more energy to it, maybe slightly more structure. But there's that vibrancy that we don't really see from Merlot. And I've been working with Merlot from the south part of the Okanagan since 2015. And what I'm finding from things north of OK Falls and that McIntyre Bluff is just a little bit more liveliness to it.
Yeah, and I think what I'm seeing here, because the Lazy Dog Vineyard, who's mostly here in that bottle, so you're on the Penticton bench, so it becomes the same side of you, Rob, on the Caledon side. So you guys are same aspect from the sun. So these two wines kind of have some similarity here.
Yeah, that is true, and I think the. To that point, I mean, I love the what do you call it? The comment by the average wine enthusiast. I think the Merlot, to touch that basis, I think there was, we could say about almost a lot of producers back in the day were producing subpar grapes back in the day everywhere in BC. But I think certainly this is a process of time. I think what happens is that this doesn't just happen. If you look at the Naramata bench, or if you look at even Caledon, most of these places were planted in Germanic aromatic white varieties or hybrids. And so we're fast learning right now. I think, Rob is a prime example of someone who's a bit newer to BC, but quickly dialing in very quickly with his experience and what he's crafting there to, it's just being obvious in the wines he's crafting. And so I think the first probably 15, 20 years of the Okanagan, we can probably just there were some gems in there, some amazing Riesling, some great aromatic white wines. But I think the magic in BC, especially in small boutique producers, is just, we're just getting into the meat of stuff now. And so this is where this discussion is going. And I say we're not finished learning. Every time I think I know some shit, I get my ass handed to me. So I caveat with that. I'm still humbly learning shit every day. But
this
so
is
far
a
the
business
Merlot
that requires a ton of patience, right? Like we get one crack a year to do our craft, and you learn something every single year. So I've got, this is my 11th vintage. Every single one of those has been an incredible learning experience. And as you dial in and get experience with particular sites, and you connect, why does this wine taste or feel or smell this way? And how do you tie that back to the vintage and what you did in the vineyard and what Mother Nature gave you that year? Like those are things that you have to learn and experience. And so what Richard's saying is, those first 20 years, there probably wasn't a lot of sort of empirical work being done back in the early days. But as people are beginning to dial in on particular sites and particular varietals and wine styles from sites, that's where we're going to go by leaps and bounds in terms of our quality.
Oh man, you guys, yeah, it's such a great conversation. I freaking love it. Especially now that we're talking Central Okanagan. This is where my heart is. And like, Richard, why the hot bottle here? Why this style of bottle for the Merlot? I think I had that. Someone asked today, and I didn't know what to say. So
So to me, being pragmatic about stuff is that initially all of our wines, other than the traditional wines that you guys know, the Pinot Noir, the Tinto, then the Bronco, and those, they're all done in what we call Burgundy bottles. Those are Burgundy. Hawk is usually a bit narrower, thinner, and taller. They're used for
the Riesling bottle, right?
But just because of efficiency, one bottle, one label size. When you're ordering, you can order it all in one big lot. So the problem is that the market, for the same reason some of your club members have probably pointed out, well, why do we have a Bordeaux and a Burgundy bottle? Now, if you go around the world to Australia, lots of New World places, even like say in Washington State, people don't give a shit about convention. They're like, I'll put the wine in any bottle I feel like. But to me, it was obviously my winery is kind of heavily leaning towards that old world influence, and I thought, I should probably go more traditional on that, and so I caved in. I think it must have been around 17 or 19. It was somewhere in there that we decided to separate all of our Bordeaux varietals into Bordeaux bottles. But for those that don't know, Bordeaux bottles are the straight side bottles that we normally see. Like the one that Rob uses, it's a traditional Merlot, like that Merlot that he has is in a traditional bottle. I went to that. So there you go. It was all the wines before in that Burgundy, and now all my Bordeaux's are in the Bordeaux bottle.
There you go. Funny story, Richard. So your Ontario counterpart when you got Winery of the Year was Sue Ann. She was Winery of the Year out in Ontario, right? And she
went much further than you, Richard.
She was like, I'm going to be super efficient with my bottles. And she's the Riesling queen, right? So she has all these gorgeous older Rieslings. And we're like, why are they in What kind of bottle, Carl? Like they're not in the
Bordeaux bottle. No, she had her Riesling in the Bordeaux bottle, and until one of her agents said, if we want to sell these gorgeous wine, we need to put these wines in a Riesling bottle. So she caved in, just like you. She caved in after a few years, but yeah, she went with Rieslings all across the board in her Bordeaux bottle. But
cool,
marketing wise, it was.
Getting the back vintages is great because you're like, it's extra special now. It's like, oh, they don't make them in these bottles anymore. It's so cool.
And Daryl,
I was going to say that to Daryl's comment on there. By the way, hi everybody on there, Christine and everybody else, Elaine and Dylan and everyone else. I was going to say that the stacking thing is a concern. Daryl, I will agree with that. I've had a few bottles fall from our shelves, and that was also a big pain in the ass. In fact, we've stopped going with that heavier side Burgundy because it was so tippy anytime we tried to stack them in our shelves that the staff were struggling with it. And so I'm like, screw it. We went with a more conventional Burgundy. But yeah, it is easier to stack, so I agree with it. So there's the pragmatic side of things.
And speaking about convention and all that, Richard, Rob, I know you need to go very soon. I know you have a hard deadline, but I noticed now you went screw cap and same bottle across the board for your red, right? There's I said, because we're featuring this week the trio of 2022 on Sanctioned Series. No more cap, no more cork, all on twist cap, all on the same bottle.
Yeah, so a couple things there. I kind of make that decision based on each vintage.
Okay.
There's definitely efficiency. That's the same bottle we've been using for our Secret Society Red, so it just made sense. But for me, when I've got a wine that is in like drink ready condition, that I don't think it needs to evolve the same way it would under cork, I just don't find the need to put it under cork. We've started doing that over the last couple of years. But wines that I really want to be able to cellar for 5, 10, 15 years, and that are going to evolve through that process, I will continue to use cork on.
Okay, that makes sense.
For example, like Syndicate and our Estate Merlot will be in cork for many vintages, I would imagine. But for the reds that I find are just a little bit more drinking better early, there just isn't a need for a cork.
I would agree with Rob on that. I think we found the same thing. I think probably with the wines that Rob probably gravitates in his premier cuvées he's doing. I played with. There's an efficiency, as Rob can attest to, in going with screw cap. There's a precision. Though I found that in wines, especially as you get into your more structured wines, that that organic cork thing has a profound effect on the wine in the bottle. I don't care what science says, sensory wise. I have done a lot of those tests. It's a substantial cost savings in some ways over doing a tin capsule and a decent cork, and efficiency, and there's a precision to it. But like Rob said, I think it's something that I struggled with. And I decided to go, other than with my Vino Blanco, my Vino Tinto, for example, I went with cork, and try to find a happy medium because there is a perception. I think it's bogus. I think screw cap. I've had some amazing world-class wines from all over the world in screw cap, but just some wines that we make, and Rob can talk to this maybe a little bit, is that the way I craft my wines, they just seem to perform better under cork. Typically, I didn't see that difference though in my Vino Blanco and my Vino Tinto because they don't have that structure, intensity, the acidity, and all of that stuff going on. So anyway, I'll leave that to Rob to maybe talk about that a little bit. But
yeah, I think like I said, it's wine specific for me. Just because I put the Cab Sauv or the Cab Franc or this Zoetermeer Merlot in screw cap this year doesn't mean I wouldn't do it in cork next year. I'm not pragmatic in that sense. For me, the wine tells me when it needs to get bottled and how it's going to get bottled, and I'm flexible either way.
So before I let you go, Rob, I mean, you've been on the Alberta market. Your wines have been sold through a distributor on the Alberta market for a while. I mean, you've been there. When I run my company out in Alberta, you were already present. Richard, you are now back on the AB market. We had Brian Abra here, was tuning in from a part of the show, commenting. Brian, I know Brian from my days in Alberta, as well as I know Rob's agent very well, Chris, a good friend of mine as well. So now you're back on the Alberta market. You had a great trip to Cowtown last couple of weeks ago, and I guess that listening to Brian, reading Brian's comments, the Chenin Blanc's going into the probably into the Alberta market or something like that.
Yeah, I think the what's fascinating, and I don't know when Rob was last in the Alberta market, but Alberta's always been a challenge. Not from the consumer. We have amazing consumers that love BC wines. We have us. We love each other. There's a great synergy there. There's always been a bit of a rough spot with the industry. I call it the gatekeepers, whether it's agencies or stores, because Alberta is such heavily import based. But this last trip, and I want to thank Brian if he's out there still. Fantastic visit. It was the first time that I've been in that market where stores, buyers, consumers were engaged and were super pumped about supporting BC wine, and price was not the first of mind, which is really eye-opening for me. I was super excited to see that support from Alberta for BC wine, from the industry side specifically, and I think that's going to make for a beautiful thing moving forward in the industry. I think that's it's only a win-win. The more stories, it's not just about my wine, it's not just about Rob. It's about a bunch of us, cutting in some ground out there and cutting a space for BC wines to exist out there and have happy time feelings around it.
Rob,
yeah, we started selling in the wholesale market in Alberta a couple years before we were even in the wholesale market in BC. So it's kind of been where it all started for us, and that market's always been super supportive. There's definitely been an uptick in the last 6 months in terms of BC wines and the volumes that are being purchased in that market now. I'm talking in stores. We've always had a great direct sale channel through our website and through our wine club. But there's been a noticeable uptick in the market in terms of stores and restaurants, which is fantastic. We just sent a couple more pallets off last week to restock our agents out there. So I think this is just proof that all the fuss with the AGLC and worried about stores and restaurants not being able to supply the wines because we're selling direct is just bunk. It's proof that both channels can be mutually beneficial to one another.
Absolutely.
And
Such a good
we're going
point.
to keep supporting that market for as long as we still have wine.
And now on the other hand, completely across the country, Rob Ford is making an election promise to go hard on opening Ontario to the direct-to-consumer across the country. So if the biggest market goes big data priority, and I mean like that aspect is looking good for all of us.
Yeah.
It's very exciting, very, very exciting to hear. So
I gotta jump off now, guys. Sorry.
Yes, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that.
Great to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and
Thank
thanks
you,
for
my friend.
Cheers.
Take care.
Cheers.
Thanks for
Thanks.
joining us. Appreciate it. So yeah,
I'll get going with you guys, if that's all right, or do you guys want to chit chat for a couple more minutes, or?
no, we just want to tell people which wine are you featuring this week, Richard, at the festival?
So we're doing our Chardonnay, the Pinot Noir, of course. We're doing our Chenin Blanc. We're doing also the Nobreza at the table. So we're super pumped about that. And Twilight, there's one more other wine. Oh, Cap Sauv.
There you go.
So we got Cap Sauv Pinot Noir, Chenin Blanc, Chardonnay, and for a treat for everybody, we have the Nobreza at the table. So there you go. Come and visit us if you're down here, guys. And we'll we love the support and love chatting with you guys. So thanks everybody for everything, and thanks Carla, Mira. Love you guys, everybody on the chat. Cheers.
Thank you, Richard. Have a great show. Enjoy your trip to Vancouver. We appreciate you a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, I mean, we can do that all night. We can do that all freaking night. I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to stay out of the politics because, I mean, you said Rob Ford. Rob was the one that passed
okay, Doug Ford.
4 years ago.
So yeah, I just thought it was an important point. I just thought it was an important point. So
but no, the point is that everyone is super open now to those interprovincial trade barriers. They did a study a little while back that something like 20 to 30% of the cost of a lot of the things we pay for is due to these interprovincial trade barriers, that if they're lifted, I mean, it can not only make it possible to begin with to get some of these rare items like wines you can't usually get outside of BC, in Ontario, in a lot of the other provinces, but also maybe bring some of the prices down so it's closer to the winery direct price. That said, you already have an advantage because if you're buying directly from the winery or through Carl's Wine Club, you kind of have the best case scenario, right? Going straight to where it comes from. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty fantastic. I love that conversation with these two folks, these two guys. Yes, Mira? Oh, sorry. I thought you were.
Yeah, I said so cool. No,
you're the next one that I have to let go tonight because you have a trip to Costco to do because we have family coming into town, hockey tournament, a play. We have an actor in the family that is performing all weekend at the theater. So, I mean, we need to feed all of these people. So you have to do a trip across the Okanagan tonight to go get Costco.
I sure do. But before I do, I want you to tell me what is in this glass. And also, we are going to do a draw for a Magnum that is personalized and engraved for the winner of this draw. This last week, we ran a referral campaign. You guys might have gotten the email. So if you entered yourself in that draw, or if you referred friends, everybody got put into the draw, and we're about to pick the winner for that. So you're going to get a Magnum. I'm not saying it's this Magnum, but this, to give you an idea, is a Magnum from Black Market, and it's going to have a message or the person's name right on it, which I think is pretty sick.
So let's backtrack. Let's tell the story, okay? So we're talking with Brian Schmid. Brian, owner at Vineland Estate, and Al Dupuis is national sales account manager, and they just partner up with one of a Toronto engrave company where they can do individual engraving. So they're going to customize these Magnum, but these Magnums are very special. It's not any like random wines out there or whatever it is. Mira, can I tell what it is? What's the plan?
Well, I think you should tell what it is, and then whoever wins, we're going to reach out to them. And if they don't, let's say they don't like big reds, then maybe we get them a Magnum of something else. But most likely, they're going to want this bottle because it's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
So that's the legacy, though. That's the Vineland legacy, which is a project started by Brian Schmid that every year he puts his best barrel of Cap Franc into a Solera system, which means it's a non-vintage wine. Every year when he bottles a small quantity, he puts back in the blend the exact same amount of wine that he's taking out. So you always keep the same amount of wine in this big vat. And now is going into his 12 vintage. So there's 12 vintage of Cabernet Franc from Ontario, from the Boutique Vineyard and the Mission Vineyard in Niagara. So yeah, the cream of the crop of Cabernet Franc on the bench in Niagara. So Brian, his legacy project, we're gonna have personalized with your name and the message that you want on the bottle. So really, really cool. So we'll have that, and it's a value of $300, I believe. So
Yeah, we're up there. Like with tax, I think it's close to 300. So yeah. There you go. It's pretty special bottle. And I think it comes in a six box as well, that one. So,
oh yeah, coming in a wooden box as well. I forgot about that. That's absolutely it.
I mean, if Daryl, who is not a fan of Cab Franc, wins and he decides to get that specific Magnum, then I think it's going to be for sharing, right, Daryl? It's just going to be next time we see
Daryl, you can bring it to the Pan Canadian, right?
We'll help you with that problem. Absolutely.
So go. So we're meeting with Brian again on Friday to talk about that project, but also with new things with the Pan Canadian and all that. So yes, we've been featuring some of our BC wine. Sorry?
I just said he's so generous. He deserves to
win.
Oh
yeah. So so talking a lot about BC wine this week, but my God, there's a lot going on the other side as well in Ontario. So I'm really, really excited about that personalized engraved magnums of Legacy. So I can't wait.
So since we're on that topic, do we want to quickly do the draw now? And then before I go, I want to hear what you think of this blind taste in your glass, okay?
Yeah, and someone needs to talk to Mira, okay? To all of our listeners, when Mira tried to blind taste me, she needs to not pick the most obvious thing on the eyes or on the nose.
I tricked you pretty good the last couple times, though. Like
there was some real... Oh, yeah, no, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Thought-provoking kind of.
Yeah.
Quick choice, and actually the lighting was not very good. I didn't realize it's an orange wine, but there you go.
Well, because it looks like an orange wine, it smells like an orange wine, and absolutely tastes like an orange wine. It's absolutely fantastic, though. I love the orange marmalade and that. It's geeky. It's a little bit of like kind of a fuck you wine a little bit, in the sense that like it's unapologetic. You can feel the skin of the white grape. It's geeky. It's fun. There's a lot going on. There's some like yeah.
I like that. A fuck you wine. So that just basically means we're gonna make it the way we like it, and if you don't like it, F you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. I love that.
F you wine. And you know what? I have tasted different orange wines, and some of them are a little too crazy and nerdy. This one is really spectacular. It's got nuance. It's got this really interesting kind of thing on the finish that's almost like caramel, and
there does get some caramel in there in the finish, Mira. You're right, and there's a little herbaceousness. There's some pit, like peach pit. There's a lot going on, so it's really fun. I love that. I gave that a 91 points. I rarely go above 90 with orange wine. Sometimes I think like, nah, it's unidimensional, or no, this one has lots of layers. So which producer is that? What did you, I don't even think we had an orange wine in the
in our cellar.
Yeah.
We have all sorts of things that I'm pretty sure you don't even know are there. So we'll have more and more fun with that. But orange wine, what kind of, so you said around 91 points is what you did?
Yeah, no, I'm giving that 91 points. I think it's absolutely spectacular. Last time I had such a blast tasting orange wine, I think it's when I was with Bill Riddlemeyer at Southbrook, when we did like 3 or 4 different orange wine. There was some really cool thing in there, but this is really good. What I love in that is the complexity. It's really complex. There's a lot going on, multiple layers, and it makes sense. There's nothing who goes off the rail. No, it's still like very sound.
And what would you say is the varietal?
Super floral. So Maybe. I was about to say my first take would have been Viognier, but no, there's not enough honey or this and that. I don't think it would be Viognier. I don't know. Like now, I will just, and to be honest, it's something like Vidal, or because of the floral aspect of it, might make sense.
Well, you're bang on. It is Vidal. It is. And I totally get that floral aspect too. So this particular one, you ready? And did you talk about price point at all?
No, I didn't. I don't know. 25, 26, 27.
It's more. So I'll tell you the trick about this one is they make two orange wines, and this particular one is barrel aged.
That's the vanilla right there. That's that sweet caramel. Yeah. And that's why it's Slayer and then some clove spice at the end. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So it's going to cost a little more than the usual.
Of course. Right? So 30?
Mid to high 30s, including tax. It's sold out, from what I can tell, and it's also Wine Club exclusive, and it is from Lely. So it's their
When did we got that bottle, for God's sake?
I don't know, but it's really good.
It is really fucking good. Yeah. It is.
So, and it's 2021. So I'm going to bet that they probably have a new vintage now, and this one is sold out. But this particular vintage, it says they split the Vidal batch in two. This batch completed its fermentation in second and third use French oak, and then matured for an additional 23 months in the oak for further depth and complexity.
Wow. Yeah. That's why at first I'm like, this is really complex. It's love it.
And it's single vineyard from their old vines at Lely there. So that's pretty cool. So good job.
Really cool.
Got that right out of the gate. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Hey, okay. So this Magnum that we were about to pick the winner for, to give everyone a context, right? Like there's the regular bottle, the second one on the left there. That's a regular bottle. And then you got the Magnum. It's double the size of a regular bottle, right? So like, let's say here's a Da Silva regular bottle. Here is a Magnum of Black Market. Yeah, it's a really sexy bottle to bring out. So that's what we're going to engrave. So I'm just going to share my screen. This is the app we used so that everybody who wanted to enter or who referred friends got additional entries for everyone that referred your friends, which by the way, guys, thank you, because we are on a mission to grow Carl's Wine Club, because it's just so much more fun to taste these wines and geek out with other wine lovers, right? So yeah, I am going to click this and let's see, drawing winners. Oh my gosh, it's giving us a countdown. It's very fancy.
There you go. There you go. No, I mean, this is the right time with all of that political bullshit out there and all that. It's the time to support our Canadian wineries. And guess what? No one does it like us. We've been doing it for 5 years. And join us. Spread the word. Ah!
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me? No way. No way. Holy smokes.
My gosh.
Are you joking, Daryl Hickey? No way. A Magnum of Cabernet Franc. I can't wait.
Well, we were saying before, it doesn't have to be that Cab Franc. I mean, it could be something else. Daryl likes all sorts of things. But yeah, that's crazy.
Daryl. Oh, that is just too funny.
Tracy,
oh my God.
Just like send all of your good luck to Daryl? Because Tracy won a bunch of these draws.
Hey, I have an idea, guys. Tracy, Jim, Daryl, you've been winning pretty much everything. So next time we meet in Niagara, how about you guys bring all the bottles that you won and we can all have them together. So we'll be good for the weekend, right?
Well, Daryl, congratulations. Your name is going to get engraved on this Magnum. We're going to email you right after to see if you're going to go for that Legacy Solero style, or, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of other options. Hey, it could be this Black Market Syrah. Could be all sorts of things. So We'll see.
Why would you say that? This is my personal bottle. Why would you give my personal? There's none of these left. I had the last one.
Oh, okay. Not that one. Not that one. No, there's other ones. There's other ones.
Yeah. So Daryl, forget about what Mira has had a glass of wine, okay? So we cannot. No. No. There's some vetoes, and this one is a
But yes,
no.
I mean, Mike's saying, you did say if you win the Cap Franc one, you would share it because you don't particularly like Cap Francs. So there you go. Or you never know, we might have over all these years possibly converted Daryl to sort of like Cap Franc in certain cases.
By the way, I've been sipping. I talk about at the beginning of this show about the Zotomir Merlot from Rob. That's brand new release, which is fucking fantastic. I've been sipping on the 16 during the show. 16 Da Silva. Merlot.
My glass
and
too.
This wine just keeps freaking giving me. Holy smokes. Wow. If you like a wine who's entering its prime, that 2016 Merlot from Da Silva at $53, including tax, for a 16 super premium Merlot. This is very well priced. Very, very well priced. Freaking awesome. Richard, fantastic wine. I love it. Richard, Rob Hammersley, both of you, thank you guys for joining us. I just wish we had another hour. We had so much. I barely spoke about the Chenin Blanc. Barely. We are the only one in the country, Carl's Wine Club, to have the 23 Chenin Blanc. This wine is not being released yet. This is just for you guys.
And we didn't talk about the Chardonnay. We didn't talk about the Bacchus.
I didn't talk about the Bacchus. I didn't talk about the Malbec. So
there'll be more emails coming your way about all these wines. If you're still interested, if you're not, you don't want to hear about them, there's always like a little link at the bottom of our emails that says if you don't want to hear about these wines again, just click here, and then it'll just automatically take you out of there. So that said, quick flash here to show you guys just some of the parties we've done for the Winery of the Year. That vote is coming out very soon, so we will send you a couple emails when it comes out so you can vote for the last year's Winery of the Year, and then we convince those wineries who win to let us descend on their properties and throw an epic party of amazing proportions. So this was the hog roast, if you didn't believe me, at Black Market. And I got to say, when we went out to Ontario and we did this part of the Winery of the Year, this was the birthplace. That trip was the birthplace of these tailgating parties. Okay. So that's the kind of thing we're going to be doing, not just at the Winery of the Year celebration, but also at the Pan Canadian. So I just want to say, if you have not yet booked your tickets to come to one of the Pan Canadian or all the Pan Canadian events in June in Niagara, oh my gosh, this is the time to go. It is going to be epic. It's our 5-year anniversary that week too, as a club. So I think there's going to be some little surprises, and it'll be a lot of fun, and highly recommend that you go. And if you're a VIP Unlimited, which I know some people have been upgrading, if you're VIP Unlimited, you can still get a whopping discount on that event with your VIP Unlimited membership. So,
and Daryl, I'll commit. If you share your bottle, I'm bringing that bottle of 18 Syrah Magnum from Black Market.
You mean if he decides to get the Cab Franc to share?
Yeah, I will bring that Syrah.
He wants his name on because, the engraving, right? So.
Okay, I'll bring that Syrah, and Rob just confirmed that he's coming as well, so Rob can pour it, and we'll talk about it, and I'll make sure that Richard brings a Magnum as well, so because Richard is coming as well. So guys, it's going to be a epic weekend. We have some heavy hitter flying with us. So Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members. Mira Boucher, see you next
he
time.
said he'd do it. He said, oh my God. We have converted Daryl to Capron in some way. There we go. Cheers.